Just a quick note before we begin. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. We are not licensed professionals, just parents who've experienced unimaginable loss. This isn't meant to replace help from a therapist, doctor, or other mental health professional. If you're struggling, please reach out to someone qualified. You are not alone. Welcome to Don't Forget to Breathe. I'm Bruce Barker, along with my co-host, Kristin Glenn. In the last episode, Kristin and I talked about what it means to get it. That shared understanding that exists between bereaved parents without any explanation. In this next part, we want to share where we're headed together in Season 4. Some episodes are for parents who are new to grief, when the pain is raw and the questions feel overwhelming. Others are for those further down the road, still carrying loss while learning how to live again. And still other episodes are specifically for those who have not lost a child, but are walking beside those who have, to offer tools to help in their support of a grieving parent. We'll talk about the unique pain of child loss, how it affects relationships and mental health, and what it means to live after loss. Not moving on, but living with it. We'll explore how the outside world responds, the spiritual and existential questions grief brings up, and we'll hear from other bereaved parents sharing their stories and hard-earned wisdom. And throughout the season, we'll talk about hope, not in silver linings, but the kind that can quietly coexist with sorrow. Wherever you are on this journey, you're welcome here. Now, let's continue our conversation. This is kind of the teaser, so to speak, of some of the subjects that we'll be talking about among us, but still, so it's going to kind of go, we'll have our conversations, much like we're having now, and we will also be doing parent stories where parents can come on and share their story. And again, from anywhere in the world. And speaking of how that works, that's what we're doing right now. I'm in Denver, you're in Fort Collins, and we're doing this through that format. I think I mentioned that in the last couple of episodes. It doesn't matter where you are, and we're not in a studio. We are in separate locations. We can see each other on the screen. And it will be the same thing when you as a listener want to come on and share your story. You'll be on this little screen that we can see you. Now, we don't record the video, so so don't worry about that. But wherever you are, we can do this. And again, it's a website format that we use, no special equipment, anything like that. Sometimes, depending on the internet connection, it might get a little fuzzy. So going forward, there may be times that it will be with us as well. So there may be a little fuzziness. We also anticipate sometimes that we are in a studio together at the same time. But this is kind of that, just an example of that format that we are not in the same place and doing this recording. So we anticipate other parents coming on and to kind of share their story. But in between those, there's subjects that you and I are going to talk about, and maybe even depending on where some of the parents that come on are in their journey, they may be joining us to talk about some of these subjects as well. So we're going to rattle a few of these off. Do you have them where you can see them too? No? Okay. So then I'm rattling them off. So one of the things, it's about early grief, right? And one is, you're not crazy. What grief after child loss really feels like. Because I know we feel like. So that's spot on.
So good.
And as you just mentioned, the day everything changed, surviving the first weeks. And those that, I know with some of the groups that I facilitate, people are at different places on their journey. And those that it's only been a few weeks, we're not talking about 19 years out. We're not talking about 5 years out. You just want to know, how do I get through the next hour? How do I get through tonight? Can I go to sleep? Can I wake up in the morning? Am I going to get out of bed? All of those things that, if you are early stages of grief.
Absolutely. It's the name of your podcast. Yeah. It is the absolute name of this podcast. Don't forget to breathe. Exactly. I remember, I vividly remember feeling like I'm having to remember to breathe. That effort of inhale, exhale, every, it was an effort. And so, and you can't imagine that someone can survive that. So I think we need to address that, because that's real scary stuff. And I think people deserve to have an episode that they can come to soon after their grief and know that is how we feel, and how we, have brain fog and can't remember how to drive somewhere that we used to go every single day, and don't forget, don't remember to feed the dog, and don't remember how to do everyday stuff because our brain is just in complete upheaval. So,
or don't even remember how we got where we got.
Absolutely not.
Oh, I've done that so many times. I know that when I first started the podcast, and I may have mentioned this, that where I am now is obviously not where I was when I first started the podcast. And when I did that, it was a way of getting all of this out of me and getting it out there, and just speaking it. And that's one of the things when you mentioned the don't forget to breathe. I think that's in season 1. I think that's episode 3, maybe, or 2. I don't remember it, but it's the story of where that phrase came from and where I first heard it. And as I go back, when you were saying that, I'm taken back to, and as we all are, when we talk on these subjects, we're taken back to where that was. And it was, you're just survival, or I can say in my case, I don't care about survival. I didn't want to wake up the next morning. Like all of those things where you're, what's next? So we'll definitely deep dive into that. And there's a whole list here. It's a long list, but by the way, so we're barely getting into this. Oh yeah, I love this. Why time doesn't heal this, and what actually happens. That's such a cliche phrase.
It really is.
Time.
Just give it time.
Whatever. And this, I love this. Grief is not linear, and it's not fair. Absolutely, it is not linear. And I've noticed from, like, on some of my Instagram feeds, on my personal Instagram feeds, the way the algorithms work, I see a lot of grief stuff. And there's really nice little pieces of wisdom that's out there. And that's some of the stuff that we'll explore. And so as a listener, if there's something you've seen or you've heard, and it might have just been a catchphrase or some line that you saw on a really cool photo on an Instagram or Facebook feed or something like that, and you want us to explore that, send us an email, right? So contact information is in the show notes, or as I always put at the end of the podcast, I have my email address on there. And then Kristin and I will go through those emails, and then we can address that. So if there's a specific subject you want us to talk about, we're all over it. Let us know, because we're here.
Yeah, and I would say to people listening, don't underestimate your own wisdom and what you have lived through. We want to hear from you. So if you have a story to tell, or have those, little pearls of wisdom that Bruce is talking about, let this be a place that we can gather those for other people, because we certainly are just two people. So we hope it can be a safe space, that you're not self-editing yourself to think, oh, I'm not ready to tell my story. It's not important enough. I don't have anything to say. I imagine that you definitely do.
Yeah, don't disqualify yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing is, we are not licensed professionals. So, and that's in the disclaimer, by the way. We are not licensed professionals, but we will talk from our experience. And so it's the same with you as a listener. You don't have to be a licensed professional. You don't what you bring to this maybe things we haven't thought of yet. And that's okay, because now it can be shared with other people.
Yeah, we can learn from everyone. Absolutely.
I definitely keep learning. All right. And Kristin, these are really good. She sent me this list, by the way. When the world
2 minutes ago.
Yeah. When the world moves on and you can't. Like, oh, I've totally felt that. Yeah. I'm how much time do we have? I definitely want to dive into that, but we won't do it right now. But this is just coming up later on. All right. And then, like, unique pain of child loss. Why losing a child is different from any other grief. Yeah, that's especially the comparisons.
Yeah. And I think that's why, what this podcast is all about is so important. And it's what, my work with the nonprofit, people wanted it to be larger, wanted it to be a all-encompassing grief center. And I want to validate all grief is important, but I absolutely believe from the bottom of my heart that child loss is a very unique pain. And I'm just proud to be part of something that addresses that without shying away from it.
Yeah. One of the things that I've learned in a couple of groups that I facilitated is as the parents are sharing their particular stories. One in particular, there was a lot of, here's what we did, here's our memories, here's all the things, all of these memories that we had. And in my case, it was 20 years worth, right? And in others' cases, maybe it was 18 years or 17 or 20 or 30, whatever it is. And then one of the parents pointed out, like, I don't have that. I got 8 days.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so they were not able to relate to that. But this next thing that you put here, this is where we're all on the same page. And it's the shattered future, grieving the life they should have had. Then we're in the same boat. Don't know how they feel, but we're in the same boat. And now we can talk the common language.
Absolutely. And I think early on in our grief experiences, often we're looking for someone that has a loss that feels as similar as possible. Similar age child, similar cause, similar, because we think that will become kind of our person. And it may, but it really is more who has similar coping or similar faith or similar, relationships. So I hope people open their hearts and their ears to these stories and don't kind of edit away from, well, this is a story of someone that lost many years ago an adult child. I had a stillborn baby. I won't be able to relate to this. And it is exactly what you said. You had hopes forever of having a child and what they would become and the place they would hold in your family. So it's the shattered dreams and shattered hopes that is a commonality, no matter what circumstance or age or length of time since the loss. So
yeah, and this is why we want in changing the format to where we have parents come on to share their stories, because everybody's story is so different and so unique, and someone else can relate, because there's going to be some people that can relate to my story and some people that can relate to your story, but that's a pretty narrow focus. And so that's why if listeners will come on to share their story, there's going to be someone else out there that something's really going to resonate and going, oh, they absolutely get it because of some similarities or whatever. So we definitely want to dive into that. I obviously cannot comment on every one of these because this episode or episodes would be lasting way, 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 way too long because there's like 49.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to bounce on a couple.
We got some work to do, my friend.
Toss them out there. So then, as a listener, if you hear something in some of these things that we want to dive into, and something really resonates with you, reach out and go, hey, I want to hear that one. When are you going to do that one? And then, so let us know. Oh yeah, this is good. Again, all right, I'll stop commenting. I'm just going to read them. So guilt, regret, and the endless if-onlys. Oh, good. Anger at God, the universe, doctors, or everyone. So good. When joy feels like betrayal.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh, now if you want to jump in, because I just
no, that's a good one.
Dive into all of these. Please step in there. So okay, So for me, this didn't resonate because this kind of next grouping, because I was single. I wasn't married when Kristin died.
Mm-hmm.
But for others, this will. So basically, with marriage and family and relationships, grieving differently than your partner and still staying connected. When one parent wants to talk and the other can't. Wow, these are good. Sex, intimacy, and emotional distance after loss. Okay, this one I can. Surviving holidays, birthdays, and anniversaries. Of course, this says together, but that's still individually or together.
Yeah.
Grandparents, siblings, and the ripple effects of grief. I have to pause on that one. That's the ripple effects. That is
pretty profound.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's pretty profound, and you discover it for years and years later.
Oh yeah.
I think, I'm still hearing from family, friends, past coworkers, the ripple effect of them hearing this news, what it was like to go back into the work environment, what things that they haven't told me and now are telling me this. Really? And it's interesting to imagine what this was like. And again, I think they've protected me from their reality of this, and it's on the outside ripple, but it's pretty incredible to hear those stories this many years later. So I would love to bring some people in. And I think that's another thing we can do through this podcast venue, or, kind of avenue, is to talk to people that are on another ripple. What was it like to witness your best friend lose her baby when you were pregnant with yours? What was it like to watch your daughter hold her child dying of cancer when you couldn't fix it as a grandparent? I mean, I think we've got a lot of work today. We've got to keep healthy so we can do this for a long time.
Yeah. One thing that you said that it kind of circles back to something we've already talked about, but you mentioned there protecting us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another one of those things. And it's in that same subject we talked about just a little bit ago, but the isolation that gets created for us.
Right.
Because of people wanting to protect us.
Exactly.
So yeah, we've kind of touched on that. So that one will kind of keep going. I made a note on that. Mental health and the inner world. So trauma versus grief, how child loss rewires the brain. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk more offline about that. This is gonna be really good. Anxiety, panic, and fear for our other children. Depression versus when you don't want to be here anymore. Gentle and safe conversations. Yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier.
You sure did. Yeah.
It was literally for the first year. Didn't want to be here anymore. Okay, the loneliness no one talks about. These are really good subjects. So again, if you hear something that really resonates with you, because this isn't in an order necessarily, so this is not like, if it's something that jumps out, go, will you guys talk about this on your next podcast? Absolutely. Let us know. Living after loss, and it's not quote unquote moving on. What healing means when your child is still gone. We touched on that a little bit.
We did. Yeah.
Verb. Carrying your child forward, bonds that don't end, finding meaning without forcing positivity. Really good. When laughter comes back and the guilt that follows. Oh yeah. So, all right. I know I said I wasn't going to comment, but probably, I don't know, maybe a year after Kristin died, I was with some friends, and then again made a comment, and what they said, someone said to me is, "Oh, you got your funny back."
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And then the guilt that follows.
Wow.
Okay. You are not who you were. Identity after loss. We barely scratched the surface on that tonight. The outside world, what not to say and why people say it anyway. Totally a deep dive on that. Mm. That's gonna fall into our non-targeted, basically, or sent to those who have not experienced child loss, to be able to help you. Navigating friendships that fade. Returning to work when you're barely functioning. Social media, baby announcements, and landmines.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Lots of landmines. Advocating for yourself when you have no energy. Well, spirituality, meaning in the big question. Faith after child loss. Losing it, redefining it, or letting it go. Okay, that's probably a 2-3-parter.
Absolutely.
And I can think of people to bring on to talk about that. So that's, we'll deep dive. Oh, this is good. Signs, dreams, and continuing bonds. Yep. Talking about heaven, afterlife, or uncertainty without platitudes. Oh, yeah. Anger at God and still wanting comfort. These are great subjects. Voices of other bereaved parents. Their story. Every child, every loss is different. Absolutely, we've talked briefly about that, and we'll deep dive it. This is really good. Sudden loss versus illness versus accidents versus suicide.
Wow.
Mothers speak and fathers speak. Often grieve differently. I know one of the groups that I specifically facilitate is for dads, and it's different.
Absolutely. I hope we can have several episodes that we have voices of both.
Yeah.
Maybe together.
Yeah.
I do think that offers some incredibly helpful insights.
Because I think there's still a sense and a feeling of being alone, and that, oh, well, they're not going to get it. But if having someone on, or whether it's separately or as a couple or whatever, to be able to get those different perspectives, to realize, no, you're not alone. Like, you're connected.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the deepest loneliness is when you lose that child and you think the other person's going to be your support or grieve similarly, and you realize we almost have to do this separately.
Yeah.
Because it's neither one of you can lean on each other. It's too vast. It's too all-encompassing. So it's a new level of loneliness.
Yeah. Years later, what still hurts and what is softened. That's going to be, because both of us are at the years later part. So I definitely, I think that's quite a one-on-one there. What I wish I'd known in the first year. Oh, yeah. This one's gentle, practical support. How to get through the day when you can't get out of bed. Coping tools that don't feel like toxic positivity. It's really good. Therapy, support groups, or none of the above. Medications, supplements, and grief. The pros and the cautions. Rituals that help when words don't. I think that's going to be the different parents that we talk to. I think that's can be just a question that's out there to find out what worked for them.
And it'd be great to have some of these be asked of all parents that we talk to.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. Hope without silver linings. So hope that doesn't minimize the loss. And speaking of hope, I hope that that's what I've been able to do so far with the podcast, is trying to offer hope but definitely not minimizing the loss. So I hope I've hit that okay. And you can carry this and still live. Love didn't end with death, sure. And you are still a parent. And that one took me a bit to get to, because Kristin was my only child. But I still, in like descriptors or something, I don't know whether it's on like profile things or whatever. I still refer to myself as a dad.
You are.
I am.
You absolutely are.
So, and what your child gave you that death can't take.
Ooh, that one gives me chills.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we may have to ask.
That's a good one.
See if parents want to share that. So that's just some of the subjects, and some of those will be with parents that come on. Some are going to be you and I. So again, if there's something in that list that resonated with you that you really want us to dive into, reach out. So again, contact information is in the show notes, and then my email is at the end of this podcast. That's after the music. So I'm really looking forward to this season and others moving on. We're going to, just to let you know, we're going to try to get, and I believe we will be able to now, is get on a regular schedule with how these podcasts come out. I know it's been sporadic in the past. So there might have been some that it was like every week, and then it went for a month and a half or two. And we also know about, as I mentioned at the beginning of season 3, when I took that big gap. So I think we're in a spot where we'll be able to have some consistency, and there's a voice for you here, again, using this format. So you can listen and see how it sounded, because that's how you'll sound, just in a different location. And it really doesn't matter if you're, what is Fort Collins, 90 miles up the road from me?
About, yeah.
Well, like, I mean, you're way out in the sticks somewhere, but up there.
The hills.
So whether it's 90 miles or thousands of miles, doesn't matter. So don't disqualify yourself. Let us know and come share your story. So I'm psyched. I'm excited about having this space for parents to share their stories. They've got voice, hope, and connect with other parents.
Me too. I think we can have some really meaningful conversations. You know, it always feels odd to say how excited or looking forward to I am about grief, but this is what I know, and I believe that you and I can listen well and create a space where others can not feel alone and have that voice. So thanks for allowing me to be your official co-host. I look forward to our next time together.
Thank you for being co-host on the Don't Forget to Breathe podcast. So until next time, thanks, Kristin.
Take care, everybody.
As you can probably tell, Kristin and I are really looking forward to exploring these conversations together in season 4 and beyond. If this space feels helpful to you, we invite you to keep coming back, to listen, and to be part of this community. Until next time, on behalf of my co-host, Kristin Glenn, I'm Bruce Barker, and please, don't forget to breathe. One more thing, if you found meaning or comfort in these conversations, consider becoming a supporter of the Don't Forget to Breathe podcast. Your support helps keep these stories alive and makes it possible for others to find hope in their own grief journey. For as little as $3 a month, your support goes to offset costs associated with production. You can learn more on the information page for this episode. You can also contact us by going to the show notes and click on Send Us a Text. Or my contact email is bruce.barker61@yahoo.com. That's BRUCE.BARKER61 @yahoo.com. Until next time.